Public hearing.
Public
meeting. Council will not interchange. This is a chance for the public to express their interest. And we'll have 7 o'clock. This is over. Okay? Rick?
Thank you all for coming tonight. Tonight, the purpose of this meeting is to receive public comments from members of Kemah and surrounding communities regarding a proposed intermodal terminal parking facility that is proposed for the city lot. This is a project. It is a partnership between the city of Kemah and the Gulf Coast Center, which is an FTA grantee. They are a Federal Transit Administration grantee. They are the public transportation provider in mainland Galveston County. They currently operate the Victory Lakes Park and Ride, Lake City, the Mall to Mainland Park and Ride, which is actually operating out of the mall parking lot, and fixed route services in cities of Texas City, Lamarck, Dickinson, among others. They were also our partner when we ran the shuttle demonstration during spring break, and I want to introduce a few people. They're going to run through about a 15-minute presentation. We have comment cards that are available, and we'll also open it up to question and answer. And city staff may also provide a few answers. There may be some things that are relevant, but we will open it up to question and answers. Okay, James Hollis with Gulf Coast Center. Go ahead and stand up, James. Wave to the crowd.
Thanks for having us. I'm Transportation Director at Gulf Coast Center Connect Transit. Thanks for coming out tonight. We really appreciate your support.
We've got Robert McCaney, Senior Associate with Kemah Corporation. Robert's originally from the West Coast, so he has, and also Austin, so he has an extensive background in transportation and urban planning. Barry Goodman, if you can stand Barry real quickly. Barry's the president of the Goodman Corporation. He was originally, not that he was anyone else, but he was originally the senior legal counsel for what was known as the Urban Mass Transit Association, which became the Federal Transit Administration. And he was, in a previous life, he was what became Houston Metro's first president, and was brought in by then Mayor Hoffines to create Metro legislatively, leading it into the vote and so forth. So I'm going to hand this over to Robert and Barry to give the intro and describe what's really the advanced planning and environmental phase of the work that has been completed.
Thank you, Rick. I'm happy to be here, Barry Goodman, Goodman Association, Goodman Corporation. And I was here 15 years ago with a group that was asked to come and talk about the need for mobility, parking, circulation, pedestrian safety in Kemah. And in that 15 years, very little has been done to address those issues. Nothing, in fact, has been done to address those issues. But over the last few years, through partnerships with the Gulf Coast Center, which is the transit provider for this area, and a lot of cities, Texas City, Dickinson, Lamarck, San Leon, and others, we formed a group that's created a new transit district in Galveston County, the Galveston County Transit District, to focus on regional mobility solutions because our area is growing. Traffic's getting worse, gasoline prices are getting higher, and in our development of data and information about the need for mobility, Kemah has become a focus. And the focus in Kemah is the opportunity to do two things. One is to develop a transportation hub that will serve for commuter purposes, taking people both south and north, south to Galveston, north to Houston, points in between. The analysis that Robert McCaney is going to talk to you about in a few minutes shows that there's significant demand in Kemah for that commuter travel. And secondarily, but equally important, is the high tourist demand and impact of tourism here, because the boardwalk and other attractions during the weekend and on evenings need to address pedestrian safety, which is a huge issue here, has also been part of our focus. And so what we have found is that there is a high degree of justification, more so today because 15 years has traversed than there was 15 years ago. There's opportunities to address it. There are federal funds that we believe are important and can play a role in mitigating the cost of doing this for the city of Kemah. But more importantly, we believe that a facility can be developed here that actually has a positive cash flow, revenue stream, that can help pay for operating and maintenance costs and more mobility improvements and mitigate any negative impact to the Kemah tax base. So that's what we found. I'm going to ask Robert McKinney to give you the details of that and present to you the opportunity that exists today in Kemah for solving mobility and circulation problems. Robert?
Thank you. Well, I think I have 9 more minutes, because we had 15 minutes. The mayor is on a strict deadline here, so I'm going to go kind of fast through this. And then at the end, if you have any questions, we're more than happy to address those questions for you. I also have, for note here, we have comment cards. You're more than welcome to have leave your comments or take them and bring them back. Also, my business card is up here, so if you have any questions that you go home and you say, oh, I wish I would have asked that question, go ahead and shoot me an email and we'll make sure you get to the appropriate response. Again, my name is Robert McKinney. So what we did is we developed a plan. Because any time that you have a problem, as Barry brought up, circulation, parking, etc., you need to develop a plan on how you're going to find a solution to that problem. So quickly, what's in the plan, this is a project background, parking demand analysis, building program, benefits, things like funding strategies, and also looking at who's involved, which would be the stakeholders. So the first thing is what's the problem? With any public investment, you have to ask yourself, what is the problem? And what we found here, the problem is that there's excessive backups coming into Kemah during your busy times, and the internal circulation at critical locations is also performing at low levels. The study that was done by a traffic engineer found that there needs to be improved traffic, ingress, egress, improved traffic circulation, create a pedestrian-friendly environment, and develop parking solutions. And what this plan does is it looks at creating a pedestrian-friendly environment and addressing parking solutions. So the first thing you got to do is, okay, so how many folks do you think would actually park in this facility? And through this detailed parking demand analysis, this is just a snapshot of it. We found in year 1 it'd be probably about 275. And that would increase as the service develops, the word gets out, and there's more folks that want to ride the park and ride bus. There'd be about 500 by year 5. So that kind of sets the stage. You say, okay, now we have 500 people that want to park here. Where do we put a facility where 500 people would want to park on a daily basis? See that? There we go. Or how big of a facility we need. And so we looked at a facility that would have 3 the base program would have 3 full bus berths with a passenger waiting area, about 500 spaces, because that's what we found in our demand analysis, and then a 2,500 square foot lobby welcome center. And then on top of that, you can do an optional program that would add 100 additional spaces and would be 7,500 square feet of flexible conference office space for the city. And then you have to decide, okay, now we have a building, we know how big it needs to be, where can we actually put a facility like this? So we go through a detailed site selection analysis, and we looked at 3 different sites. It may be a little difficult to see here, but maybe my red line will help. We chose the city lot after visiting with stakeholders and with the city and property owners and looking at the environmental considerations and so forth. This is the lot that was chosen for this particular plan. And the next piece is, so we focused on the parking facility. Now we're focusing on the pedestrian environment. You can't, with a good transit system, you have to be able to walk to the bus stop or walk around the bus stop or be able to move in between the bus stops and from the facility. So one of the things that we're looking at is a movable pedestrian bridge, sidewalk connectivity, freshly painted crosswalks, and a trolley circulator signage. And here's and this map, I'm going to go quickly through this map because you can find this map out here, I think, on this board right out here. So what are the capital and operating costs? The base cost for the construction of the facility would be $12 million, $14 million for the optional, so it would be an additional $2 million for that 100 parking spaces and 7,500 square feet of convention and visitor center, or lobby or office space, excuse me. And then land is at $10.5 million. Now this is a long-term lease. This land. This is not the actual what is it?
Appraised value.
Thank you. Appraised value. This is a long-term lease. The annual operating cost is typically around $450 to $500 a parking space, which brings it to $270,000. And then there's pedestrian bridge construction, operating, and streetscape pedestrian enhancements, construction, and operating. This is a big table here. The bottom line here is that your operating cost for the park and ride and circulator, so this is the buses, the operating for the vehicles, the net operating cost after you take out the fare box would be about $250,000 a year.
Robert, explain what fare box is.
Okay. Fare box is the revenue that's generated from the fares. When a passenger comes in, they'll have to pay a fare to go to Houston or to go to Galveston, and it would be about, what we projected is $4. That's about the going rate in this area, $4 north one way, so it would be an $8 round trip. And there would be discounts for seniors and so forth, and also there would be possibly some discounts if you buy in bulk, like for a month or so forth. So these are the financial benefits. This is a good facility, as Barry had said, because there's dual use. You have you have donated land value. The donated land value can be used as local match for your federal grants. The Federal Transit Administration requires a local match, and this would suffice as a local match. Also, your annual fare box revenue, which we just spoke of, is about $1.3 million a year. And then here it is again. Year 1 is $500,000, year 5 is 1.3. And then the annual parking and leasing revenue. So this is your parking at the facility. This is an additional revenue that you would get because you'd be charging folks to park there that come in and visit Kemah's Boardwalk. It would be about $650,000. That's plus the leasing that you would get with that optional 7,500 square feet. So there's also environmental benefits. This is very important for this region. There's about 8.1 million vehicle miles traveled that would be reduced, because these would be folks that would decide to get in to ride a bus rather than take their own vehicle, which also equates to about 32 tons of harmful air pollutants that would be reduced. The other environmental benefit of this site is that we conducted a phase 1 and a phase 2 environmental analysis. So phase 1 kind of looks at just at the historical records, and a phase 2 actually goes in and takes soil samples and so forth. And it was cleared through the Texas Commission on Environmental Quality of the site.
And one thing, Robert, if you could just explain, when you look at it in terms of the, I guess, the environmental benefits, how that translates in terms of the pursuit of federal funding process.
Sure, absolutely. We'll go on to the next slide for that one. I'm going to go to this slide right here for sake of time. So there's various different funding strategies for a facility like this. We understand that this doesn't happen overnight, but 3 of the funding strategies that are already being pursued, one was the Congestion Mitigation and Air Quality Improvement Program. So if we go back up, the 32 tons and the 8.1 million is important because it makes you competitive in the region for grants, what is commonly referred to as CMAQ, which is this one right here, this Congestion Mitigation and Air Quality. There's already an application in the works for that, for funding under that program. Also, the land value is a financial benefit, so working with the landowner on that. And then a letter of no prejudice, which allows you to spend local funds and then get reimbursed with federal funds as they come back to the community. So in layman's terms, this would provide a Monday through Friday park and ride access to major employment centers. Houston, downtown Houston, Texas Medical Center, League City, Texas City, and Galveston. It would provide additional parking capacity on the evenings and weekends. Total estimated cost range again was between 12 and 14 million. And the federal funds are being pursued currently, and the land value represents a significant local match for a program of this size.
It's actually almost 50-50.
Yeah, 50-50. And the required federal amount is 80-20. So anytime that you can have a higher ratio It becomes a more competitive grant when you're applying for grants. So stakeholders involved, like I said, there's several stakeholders involved. One of the most important stakeholders is the local community members, and that's why you all are here tonight, to give your input, to ask questions, and so forth. And then there's several other stakeholders down the list, such as the state of Texas, City of Kemah, obviously, Gulf Coast Center, local businesses, HGAC, Federal Transit Administration. So the next steps is get the comments back, make some edits that need to be made, submit this plan to FTA for review. We'll coordinate with HGAC to include this in the Transportation Improvement Plan, submit a pilot project application for the local service, and also to continue to apply for funding as grant opportunities present themselves. So with that said, do y'all have any questions, comments, concerns, thoughts? Oh, lots. We'll start in the back.
I might as well start it up. I'm again it, for a whole bunch of different reasons. And I'm the only citizen of Kemah that will have a significant economic impact on the good side of this project. The only other person that I think benefits from this project is Senator Fertitta, who's not a citizen of Kemah. But I don't think I have enough votes to stop it, so we'll try to steer it. The situation is the city's going to have a $5.7 million investment in this project for 500 parking places. The economics of it, I think you're using voodoo economics if you think that we're going to have significant income on the weekend because the parking garage is there. We have history of parking on the city block now. We have years of history. And how many weekend nights it's actually full. There's not that many spread out over the year. So from the economic standpoint, we're a debt-free city. I think the cash portion of what we're going to be putting in this thing is going to be $3 million or a little over $3 million, based on the initial stuff that I saw. That's a huge investment, and I think it's voodoo economics if we think we're able to get our money back out of that. As far as site selection, I think everybody needs to think about what's going to happen to Old Kemah. You're going to stick a 3 or 4 story parking garage in the middle of Old Kemah, and I see a number of people that walk in the mornings, early in the mornings, because I see them at dark running and walking and dogs and everything else. Well, there's going to be a bus that gets there to take a group of people from the parking garage at 5:45 in the morning. And that's when it starts, and it stops at 8 o'clock that night. And the site selection part of it, I'm absolutely against the project going in the old parking lot. I think it needs to be up against the bridge where nobody sees it. It's not the tallest thing in town. If we go that, I think site selection 2 or 3, I would imagine Landry's would probably do a land swap with us to get it over there. But you need to understand that, you talk about what it's going to do to life in Kemah. You're going to have buses, and they're drawn on the nice little thing, swinging in, starting at 5 o'clock in the morning. And the people that are going to be using this are not the doctors and lawyers and Indian chiefs from South Shore Harbor. They're going to be coming from Bay Cliff and San Leon. And I've got businesses in both places. And what you don't lock down, nail down, or tie up, disappears. So don't leave little Johnny's bike in front. Because most crimes are crimes of opportunity, and little Johnny's bike ain't going to be there when you finish.
Did we want to respond to these as they come through?
Yeah, I think there's a question. I think it was a comment. Did you have? I don't know if you actually. Did you have a question, or it was all comments? I want to respond to questions. It was comments.
And yeah, sir. If you look outside here, you couldn't get down the street today. He's talking about spending $12 million for a parking facility. I've already got the engineering work and everything else on 5-acre tract right here that has 605 parking places. I'll sell the city that property 5% under what the bank loaned me on. And it cost $952,000 to put the concrete parking in. Now, the problem you got right here, this area is congested. This place where you talk about putting the parking lot, just to get the property up above the V zone, if you know what that is, It's gonna cost you probably as much money as it's gonna take you to buy that piece of property down there with. Ask the guy at Holiday Inn if you don't believe me. So, then what have you done? You haven't relieved any parking, you still got the same amount of cars going in the same little area. You still got to feed with 2 streets. You move down there at that end of town, you're gonna put a trolley system in anyway. For $4.5 million, I'll give you 605 parking area spaces right now. You're gonna have a trolley anyway. Why do you want to spend $12 million? Man, this country's in bad shape. Although it may not be our money out of our pockets, it's the government's money, which is our money. We're gonna pay for it. So we want to find ways to save money, not ways to spend money. Now, you can do all your studies and waste all your money you want to on this thing, but when you said nobody's thought about this before, I've been thinking about this for the last 10 years. That's why I bought property all over the place. That's nothing new. So when you start wanting to do something, look what's feasible. This piece of property down here, it sits at what, 8.6 feet, and the velocity zone is 16, 15 and a half. You realize you got to build that property up 5.5, 6 feet? I built all those houses on the water. I tell you how high them slab have to be. They have to be 6 foot, 5.5 foot above the ground. You know what it costs putting that much steel in? I mean, it's expensive. So when you do your studies, sometimes it helps to talk to the local people who've been here a long time, and you find out what really goes on in the town.
Yeah, that's exactly why we're here, is to get your comments.
Right,
Just
exactly.
like that. And I really appreciate
But
it.
I don't know the fact that nobody said nobody's looked into this before. Yeah, in fact, you go to Civil Concept right now, you'll find they're doing design the parking lot right now. You talk to Tim Paddock down here at the construction company, he's already gave me a bid on it.
And not only that, not only what Matt said, I'm from Atlanta originally, and we in the suburbs did not have a lot of mass transit out to the suburbs. They did put in a subway system. Our crime went up because we had on the trains people that never had access to our community before. And now they're riding the train for $4 during the daytime out to the neighborhoods. The houses started getting broken into. You're bringing people into the neighborhoods that can't drive. The people that are going to spend money down here are driving here. And I just think it's a real bad idea. A real bad idea.
Are y'all still considering putting a convention center in it, or is it just going to be the parking garage?
That's not yet been determined, but that option has been having a conference center in there. The 7,500 square feet that would be about triple. I think we have 2,300 of the main area within the community center. That would all be higher than the bottom floor, and for clarification. So in terms of the floodplain issues, we can obviously put all those built spaces higher up because it would be a multi-story facility.
You better raise that street out there too then.
Sir, in the green shirt?
Well, my question is, one of my questions is, I'm not really, you haven't sold me on it, number one. I'm 61 years old. I was born here, 1951. So I've seen this go from Shrimping Village to what it is now. And my dad was on the council as well, and mom, and a lot of good friends. What I see here is not what the people want that live here. We've been losing residents, and y'all been losing businesses according to your own structure, the evaluations that they've done, the studies that they've done. And we need to do something, but we don't need to do something that's going to cost this kind of money. That's number one. It's like you said, it can be handled in a way that it's not going to cost the city that much money. We didn't create the problem per se, but yes, we did in a way, because the city allowed business to, after our ordinances, so many square foot of business, you had to have so many parking spaces. And they started, well, that's okay for this one, we'll let that go, well, now we're letting this one go, and it's still happening today in a bigger way. Now, this is really, in the reviews and everything there, is boardwalk. Everything is about boardwalk, okay? So great for the boardwalk. We appreciate the boardwalk being here, but they created this problem, and they have plenty of property that they can build parking garages on, small ones, and if they have a parking problem. But I don't think they have a parking problem. And if we're going to spend all this money for 600 parking spaces, well, they still got all these other parking spaces, and they still got parking they could develop and put more parking in. So if they do that, now where are we set? And my real question is, and we put all this in here, who is insuring all this? That figured into that little cost that you said what it's going to cost to operate? Because insurance for something like this is going to be astronomical. And so we're looking at what, self-insured? How can you answer that? That's my question.
We're going to respond to all of it. So right now we have an issue of insurance, and we have an issue of federal funds and city funds.
And crime.
And crime.
And Floyd. Okay. Yeah, I've made notes.
Ma'am?
I would like to get over comments about crime. That would be one of my major concerns, is what it brings to town, for how long it brings them to town, that normally would not be in attendance here at our town, and what are they up to? And I walk, and I know a lot of people in our community do walk as well. I think that safety would be a concern of mine. And then I guess another question would be, is there any way to get any kind of statistics on how a structure of this size and magnitude in any other community similar to ours is size, etc.? And I know we're unique because we have so many visitors a year, but I know here in the city we try to get a handle on, we give a certain entity money to do a festival or a this or a that. We, in the past few years, try to go back and track, was it a success, or was our event, what was the bang for our dollar? Has this been tracked before, and if so, what was the impact in other communities? Are they okay with it? Did they like it? Are they displeased with it? And thirdly, I think there's a huge gap in everything I've ever seen, done, or been involved in over the years of what it looks like on paper, and then what the real cost and cost effectiveness is of it. I think it's way too much money for the investment. There's a lot of parking here already. Yeah, we have really bad bogged down times, but not enough, I don't think, to constitute this kind of expenditure in our city. That again, as somebody has already said, is debt-free right now.
So I'm gonna pause right here, and we'll ask some more questions, because I think I'm getting a list that's pretty well thought out. So the first question, one of the things that I've been hearing is that it's a cost to the city. The thing that the financial pro forma of this is federal funds and a land donation. Okay, so the city is not putting up I believe you said $6 million or $5 million or $3 million. What was it? Yeah, that's not the case. In this plan, that is not the plan that is set forth. The plan that is set forth is that the land would be donated at a long-term lease, which is valued at $11 million. That matches the federal funds. Now I hear you. I heard your comment where it doesn't matter if it's federal funds. It's still, you are exactly right. It is still taxpayer dollars. But that is, just to clarify that, the local city cash, if you will, is very, it's a study and maybe a little bit more beyond that, because engineering, because you have an asset here in property that is being donated, and when the property is being donated, that is part of the project cost. And so then you have a full project cost of really, in this case, it would be $22 million, because you have a $10 million, and the number's scary, but $10 million land that matches the federal grant at a 50-50, which makes it a very strong candidate for federal funds. So there's question one. Crime, that's a hard question to answer. I think that, and I don't want to skirt away from this question, because I heard the same thing. I went to a conference for the same thing from a gal from Portland. She said the exact same thing you just said from Atlanta. Those are big cities, and granted, it was the suburbs, and this is a suburb of a big city. But this is really the goal is to bring in your choice rider. Meaning, a choice rider means that they're driving a car, they want to park here, and they're going to work in downtown Houston, the Texas Medical Center. So I'm going to let you all make your own deduction of what kind of people that brings in, and allow you to make your own deduction on that, because I don't think that's fair for me to make a deduction on who or what clientele will come in and what that will bring.
The only thing I would suburban location near my home, so we won't speculate exactly who would end up using it, but the origin and destination analysis conducted that is based on U.S. Census data. By and large, the capture area for this facility would be probably our friends in League City and Marbella, Clear Lake Shores, Seabrook, and the adjacent communities. Some of the others on the north side of the lake. And that would be, there is a capture area that each of these facilities typically has. You can draw either a circle, some call it a parabola, it's kind of a blob. And typically people will only drive so far north to go south and vice versa. But one thing I would like to point out that Robert did is that this facility is actually outside the capture areas of the Victory Lakes Park and Ride in League City and the Metro Park and Rides at Bay Area.
Yeah, currently, and I'll speak to that. Currently, there's very little option for folks that live within 3 to 4 miles in any direction besides the.
Oh, the problem with that land down there too is you have a flood, I don't know if you've been here about it very long, but the 6th Street floods. Well, I've seen it flood probably 50 times since I've been living here. Now, if you got cars in parking in there and you have a rain coming, you can't get them out.
You can't compare Kemah with the Woodlands or the Metro City.
That's
I'm sorry. That don't even come in.
We're being good for bad.
No way. It doesn't compare. Total different.
There's
a lot of the Galveston County communities specifically discuss how a lot of the ridership, that this was specifically for to get people from the hospitals in Galveston up to the hospitals. That was one of the biggest points of putting this one in Kemah, was because it connected the Houston Transit with the Galveston.
Absolutely. You're actually, this facility will connect you to the
So one of the big goals that
was
was discussed in those meetings was being able to get citizens that live down in Galveston or that live in Houston that ride the bus to be able to go back and forth, which would ultimately place them right in Kemah. So, and I just want to bring that up because there is, I do see that concern to some degree that who are you bringing in here, and you know, once they see they can get here for a cost because they're going to the doctor, they're going to the hospital, just like this lady over here brought up, it's a $4 ride to an area that the police aren't used to having to deal with this kind of issue.
So I'm gonna move on to a couple more questions here. We have, I think that she was ahead of
We put a police officer down at the bus station.
Well, actually,
we have
if you look at the operation,
That's exactly right.
it is included at the facility.
Yeah, so right here, real quick, it's here, there, and there.
Okay, just a quick question. On July 5th, Mr. Hall, James Hall, put in an article in the Daily News, and he talked about ridership that you currently have with Victory Lakes. And he says he listed 70,040. And I did the math on that, basically both 16 and 20. So you're only talking about 350 people at 20 and a little over 400 at 16. So you're not having even the usage at these other lines. So what makes you think, again, okay, that's my one. And then my second one, we're talking about federal stimulus, and I'm not even talking about the election, that's neither here nor there. Because we're talking about tax dollars, I think we need to really look, because this is going to happen. We know that, this is going to happen. But we need to look at, in the event that those dollars are cut off, Kemah is on the hook for that money.
Amen.
Yeah, so let me
That's
answer that question real quickly.
Getting the operating portion of it first.
Yeah, the Victory Lakes only travels southbound. Okay, this would travel, this park and ride facility would travel both north and southbound. And so that's where you're getting your up to 5 rather than 50.
I would also, but you need to also clarify, this is a different capture area. And in terms of the census, demographics, densities, proximity, distance, you're going to have a little bit of an apples to, it won't be necessarily apples to apples when you're looking at a slightly different area, even if you're looking at a freeway in one corridor versus another. And then you might want, Robert, go ahead and talk about, just very briefly, about employment, those travel
those travel zones.
Yeah, they're
Go into the model.
Yeah, I mean, it's a travel demand model. The HGAC runs this travel demand model, and it shows how many folks, it shows your entire network, shows how many folks are going all around your network. And so what's going to happen is you're going to capture a portion of those folks. They're, like Rick said, that are in a different capture zone than the Victory Lakes, and you're going to be going north and southbound. So we'll go right here, because I know that we're almost running out of time.
Okay. I think it's a fabulous idea, any kind of mass transit. My concern is with the location because of the Kemah Visitor Center, which is a historical building, and I don't think it can survive if it had to.
I think, so yeah, do you all have the same question, or?
No.
No, okay. So it's down the purple shirt. And then we're over here and then back to you.
I had two questions. I think
Sure.
you may have just partially answered one of them,
Okay.
which is both you and Rick have quoted some data in terms of the number of people that would actually populate the parking garage on a daily basis and where they would come from. I'm wondering where that data came from and where we can access it so that we can understand the data a little bit better, because obviously there's a lot of disagreement over the demographics. My second question is, you mentioned that this plan would improve our traffic problem, but I guess I'm struggling to understand how introducing 500 cars a day plus buses improves our traffic problem. It sounds to me like it makes it a whole lot worse on an everyday basis instead of just on weekends.
Yeah, and to answer your first question, if you go to the Kemah City of Kemah's front page, they have the full plan, and I believe it's chapter 2 or 3. You'll see a demand analysis, and you can read through that. You grab one of my cards too, and I would be happy to talk to you for hours about it if you'd like.
Don't charge me for it.
No. I'm kidding. No, if you do have some specific questions, go ahead and shoot them over and we'll get you the response if you have any more in-depth questions. But that chapter lays it out pretty in-depth to explain how those numbers were derived. And then you had a second question. That was
How does 500?
yeah, and this, like I said at the very beginning, this is addressing the parking, and it's addressing safety and pedestrian environments. So this is all one comprehensive plan. It has the terminal, which is included in that as streetscape environment, and also a pedestrian bridge to get folks from walking off the streets onto sidewalks and so forth. And then over here.
The other thing is, you put it over there, it'd be an eyesore with a big taller building. You've got all that land off of 96 that doesn't have anything on it. If you really want someplace, and that over there doesn't flood like that does over there. Plus, you dig a hole, you put something in it, and you've got to put 3 times back into it what you took out. If you know what I'm trying to say. And there, the fact that the land is not stable, and that's why it's, plus the fact is that traffic in the morning and at night would be a disaster.
My name's Teresa Madden. I apologize. I missed the first 20 minutes of the presentation, so perhaps you already covered this. But I guess my concern or my question is, I've heard a lot about just how this is going to remediate, park and ride issues or provide, regional transit. But my understanding was the reason for this is to try to alleviate our local parking concerns around the boardwalk development. So my question is, and maybe you've already covered this or looked into it, is if this is seen as a tool to, I guess, kind of accommodate our private development, have we asked the private development to participate in some sort of private-public partnership where they donate the land? I mean, why is City of the Kemah on the hook for donating land that we should be looking to the private sector to donate? I mean, if that land is available, and there are lots of tracks right now that we could build on.
I wanted to sort of put a perspective on the program that we're talking about. We're talking about addressing not only today, but the next 30, 40 years of mobility, circulation, parking, safety issues here. These types of terminals are being built all over Texas, really small towns, big towns. The structure that we put together, other than Kemah's support of the preliminary work that needs to be done to justify the federal funds, does not cost the citizens of Kemah anything. The land that would be donated is not being given to anybody. It's a long-term lease. At the end of that lease, everything, the facility that's built, everything becomes the ownership of the city of Kemah. This is just the first step in a long process. If you all are convinced as citizens that there really is no problem to be resolved, if that's what you think, then we don't have to go any further. That's not the impression that we have had over the many years here. We have a lot of work to do to refine exactly what this is and how it will work. But that work, that responsibility, if something goes wrong, what if the federal funds aren't there, someone mentioned? That's all the responsibility of the Gulf Coast Center. The city of Kemah has absolutely no contingent liability responsibility whatsoever for the money that goes into this. Someone mentioned Victory Lakes Park and Ride. Victory Lakes Park and Ride ridership is exceeding its pro forma, so much exceeding it that I had a meeting today with UTMB that now wants to work on converting that park and ride into a structured parking facility of 750 spaces because the growth is so rapid, both on the campus as well as the demand for park and ride. We're just here to help the citizens of Kemah resolve issues and problems that I personally have known have been here a long time in the way that accrues the most benefit for Kemah. If this facility was something that would be profitable for the private sector, if they didn't have to put anything into it, they would have done it. We think this facility can be highly profitable for the citizens of Kemah. Will generate a revenue stream that will help you do other things. We have done a lot of data analysis that I think will prove up our numbers because the data that we're using is the data that's being relied on by HGAC and other agencies at TxDOT that indicate that there's a strong demand here for commuter travel. Those are people going to jobs in the region. They wouldn't drive to this facility to get on a park and ride lot without the purpose of going to those jobs. We also, that's the primary justification for this facility. The fact that it can also help deal with parking and circulation in the evenings and the weekends is a secondary benefit that we can take advantage of. But the facility, if you didn't have a boardwalk, this facility would be justified on the basis of the demand for commuters that want to be connected with the rest of the region and don't want to have to pay $4 a gallon of gas to get everywhere. Some people, not everybody, but a certain good percentage of them would like to be able to pay for a bus fare and be able to connect themselves anywhere in the region seamlessly with that fare. So that's what we're talking about. We have a huge mobility, congestion, and pollution problem in our region, and this could be part of the solution. If the citizens of Kemah decide that they don't want these types of solutions, this is not the end-all or say-all of the solution. It's the beginning of a process to address issues that we think exist here both locally and from a regional need. There's a lot of other steps to take place. We could not get federal funds to fund a project that had any detrimental impact on any historic structure whatsoever. The feds don't do that. We couldn't get federal funds if there were any environmental issues, economic issues, social issues. The money wouldn't be there. The fact is we're trying to get a lot of your tax dollars back to you instead of going to some other place that wants the funding, and in a way that mitigates a negative impact on your tax base here in Kemah. That's what this is about. You've all raised great questions. They need to be answered. We will answer those. Robert is here to answer them. But fundamentally, we're here to get your input as to whether you think having better mobility, having an alternative to taking that automobile everywhere is a good thing, and how we can best accommodate that for you here. Okay?
Evelyn, right?
No, Teresa.
Teresa, right ahead. Mr. Evelyn?
Yes, are you Barry Goodman?
I am.
Okay, thank you, Barry. I guess my two questions to follow up, I guess I'm still wondering, have you approached the private sector? Does that, for their participation in trying to structure a public-private partnership?
I've talked to the private sector for years about this project. I've approached the private sector without saying who that is. I think everybody knows who that is. For many years about.
But if you want my engineering done, you'd find out I've been starting to put a parking lot in here for a long time. So, I mean,
Can I?
And I have a second question.
Can I answer that reason too as well?
Yes, please.
Fairly recently, in a quasi-informal discussion with an unnamed member of the private sector, and this goes back to the pro forma and the revenue stream. We did have the question come up, will you look at our sites as well? We have a couple sites up on there. But we also said, one, land donation. Okay, we'll donate land, but we want to keep any night and weekend revenue. And when they say land, meaning about land, valuable lease, long-term lease, same situation. But they also want, in most private sectors, participants, if it's a lease, are going to want something in addition to that. The one thing that's very interesting about this scenario here is not only the ridership potential, but the fare box is high enough that the numbers you're showing right now, there's that little delta in there. We're not actually showing any federal funds being applied to the operating side of the equation. There's actually a net, if you add in, it's a fairly conservative, and Robert, you can speak to how much night and weekend parking we're showing. We're not showing everything turning over multiple times a day.
It doesn't turn over once.
Doesn't even turn over once.
Very conservative. So yeah, I try to be very conservative with numbers because I like someone, or I too like someone over here said, you know, oh, the numbers don't always look. That's kind of my MO. I'm very critical with numbers and very conservative with numbers. And I can tell you, to answer your second question, to tell you that I've done a few of these studies, and this is a very good facility because there are not a lot of facilities that get dual use. It's one use, and that's they come and park, and it stays empty on the weekends. And so you only get one revenue stream, and that's through either the fare box, or sometimes what they'll do is they'll split out the fare box to include some of the parking. But here you get a dual use, and that's a slam dunk on a facility like this, because you have that dual use, and so you get that extra $600,000 a year in revenue.
Okay, so you're seeing it as a revenue generator for the city, that's the purpose?
Absolutely.
Yes. Well, no, not the, that is an added benefit.
Okay.
That is an added
For $10
benefit.
million of land value.
Excuse me.
But, okay, so my second question.
A parking space lot in there, he'll pay you $300,000 a year. And you can have all the money you make on it. I'll put in for nothing, $300,000 a year for me.
So my second question, be quick with this. If this is a benefit to the city of Kemah residents, I guess I'd be interested in your study or analysis to see how many Kemah residents will actually be using this service. I mean, I think that's, I mean, if you're selling this as a benefit to the citizens.
Yeah, I can actually give that to you. I'll have to do further analysis and break it down to that, but I can give you that number.
Would you recognize this man? He's going to give up.
Yes,
I got two or three comments about this. As far as the park and ride, our clientele, the people of the city of Kemah, and the people that travel 146 every day, there's two different types of people. People out here on 146 in the morning and afternoon, going both ways. It's mostly construction workers, going to these plants, going to the docks and galleries, going to the docks and Barber's Cut, on Red Line, going to the chemical plants in Texas City, Pasadena, LaPorte. That's our big traffic problem. They're not going to ride a park and ride during the week.
No, they're not.
They may ride it if they come down here on weekends and spend a little money. The second comment is, do you classify this as a public hearing on this particular thing, our object? I think you said we'd have a public hearing before the council next month, this month or something. We'd have a public hearing on this, is that right?
This is a public meeting format.
Right, this is the only one we're gonna have.
Oh, there will be many.
No, there will be multiple, there will be additional meetings in the
Right,
future.
after these public hearings, and you hear what the people, how the people feel, will you put this on the ballot, or will the council do what they want to do anyway, regardless of what the people say? Would you put this item on the ballot?
That would be a decision of council, but in this case, there is no capital expenditure on the part of council at this moment that's proposed.
But if the citizens of Kemah asked you to put it on the ballot, would you put it on the ballot?
That will be up to council to decide. I'm the city administrator, so that will be up to council to decide.
But you recommend to the council?
Depending on the citizens' input, that's definitely what we receive and what we put in front of council. That would determine their ultimate decision.
Thank you for your answer.
I got one little, just short question. The subsidence here in Kemah. And I look at how much subsidence we've had. And you're talking about 40 years. You build that thing now, in 40 years, that first level is going to be down below there. Because it's already subsided 12 feet. And you go check those records. So now 40 years, Carlo was in 61. So you start adding all that together, where's that parking garage going to be? Sorry, it don't add up.
You can advertise yourself as the best of the West.
Look at our shed in the back. It was raised a foot above ground. It's now
I would implore you to please fill out a comment card. Our time is just about up. Like we said, we'll have other public opportunities for the public to come and voice their opinion through public meetings and so forth. So please fill out a comment card. You can grab a PowerPoint presentation. You can grab my card and ask me any more specific questions. I'll make sure that the appropriate folks get it. And also, I want to thank you all for your time. I love hearing from the public because for me, this is what it's about, making a quality plan. So I thank you all and hope you all have a great night.
We're good.
People is larger than 2 square miles. But we're not big.
There are a lot of people coming through here.
We have a lot of, what's going to happen when that thing goes out and
Only the ones that are going to stop paying. Truck traffic.
They built a big shed in our backyard. It was a foot above ground. In 10 years, it's below ground.
Well, I know that we actually met with the society.
Society is terrible.
But it's slowly, that's slow. I'm serious. We met with her 3 weeks ago.
We've got a school over there on 2094.
My kids are at that school.
You want those buses to go in the morning, but at the same time, those kids.
Those buses won't be going anywhere near there.
They're hard. I know what buses are. I rode them as a kid.
Address council, Sylvia.
I brought my flag this evening, and I'm dressed in my bicentennial costume to remind you that tomorrow we're having a flag waving ceremony. We have guests coming into our town, and we think at 3 or 3:30, where is Marie? Is it, what time?
Let's just say between 3 and 3:30.
Okay.
Listen, 3:30, but
Listen for the motorcycles. They're going to be bringing in 2 busloads of some of our vets and their families to be entertained in Kemah. They're going to drive through, and I do have maps. If you don't know how to look on your computer and you need a map of where we'd like for you to stand. If you don't have a flag, look for me. I'll be up and down 6th Street, and I have extra flags. I even have the small ones for your children. So come down and wave and welcome these people to our community.
Thank you. Sheila?
I just want to ask on 2 questions. On number 16, just in the past, council has adopted codes that were additional years, just the entire code. And can they just speak to, I'm not against it, but I just want some clarification on why we're mixing the 2009 code with the 2011 code, and just a little bit of clarification on that. And then my second one is on 23. I'm not averse to our officers being able to protect themselves, and I mean, that's their first duty, to protect citizens and themselves. Tasers, I just don't see them just being a $21,000 expenditure because of the potential for liability, training, just the gamut, because we've only allocated $100,000 in the budget for legal fees, and I'm sure that did not include any defense of when a taser is discharged. And the case law is just full of, not that I'm saying a police officer would do anything wrong, but you don't have to do anything wrong to have a lawsuit.
Amen.
Thank you.
Regarding item 21, the deed restrictions for bakeries, since the city issues building permits, could they not issue building permits if someone is requesting a permit for a commercial structure? And I'd like you to consider helping us enforce our deed restrictions to keep that neighborhood residential, because there's so few all residential neighborhoods in Kemah. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Trevino.
Glad so many people turned out. I saw something in the paper the other day, and I got my tax bill from our Galveston County Appraisal District. The zip codes are wrong on most of the envelopes that they sent out, so just making everyone aware. Change it to the Galveston zip code 77553. It's got 533 on it. It will go to this other city in Texas. Who say that they will forward it back, but make it more direct.
Councilperson Buchanan.
Okay. Just like you said, I'm going to remind everybody that we're going to have the pancakes and pictures with Santa the 8th of December. That's a Saturday. We've got 2 new characters this year. We're trying to add. Did you see them? You're going to wear one of them? We're trying to add every year because we're going to expand it. I believe we're having a children's parade after pancakes and pictures, so that'll be something new this year. Also, Kathy, when did we start collecting toys? Start now? I mean, they can start bringing them in?
I still have a little room in my office.
Yeah, oh, you have a little room in there? Well, you just think you're going to get more room. You're not. But everybody remember that there are some kids out there that without our help and other people, they won't have a Christmas. So be generous, bring your gifts in, your toys in. People that have businesses, you can take a tax credit, cut on that or credit on that. I've got my son to do that. I talked him into it that way. He lives now, but he sends the toys over. So remember, the holidays are coming up, and we want to make sure everybody has a wonderful holiday. That's it.
Thank you. Councilperson Joyner.
Well, good evening, everyone, and I'll keep my remarks short since our agenda is quite long tonight. But we have in our packet tonight here the resignation or the retirement letter from Kathy, which I'm sure most of you have heard or whatever, but I just think we all owe her a great gratitude for all of her years of service to our city. And I know in the mayor's newsletter, there's going to be a party coming up for her retirement party, and I hope you can all make it out and get your chance to say thanks to Kathy for all her work.
Councilperson Rash.
I'll also try to be short. I promise that's more. Want to remind everybody, tomorrow's the last day of early voting.
Obviously, this Tuesday's regular election day, so those people that don't want to get caught in line have to deal with all the problems. Might want to find a way to sneak in tomorrow before that's all done. And I encourage you all to vote. I want to thank everybody who showed up tonight for the hearing. Obviously, that's a pretty big project. The devil's going to be in the details, so I think it's great that you participate, know what they are, keep our feet to the fire, let us work on this and come up with the best possible solution, whatever that is. I can't speak for all of council. I have to say, I did hear one suggestion I found interesting about the possibility of putting that on the ballot next May. I don't know if that would be something that's pursued, but for myself, when big items come up, and that's about as big as they get for our small town, we want to make sure we have as wide an input as we can possibly get. And as much as I thought we had very spirited participation tonight, I hope you understand what we fall into in this role up in these chairs. We're going to make a judgment about what the 1,700 people want based on what we've heard from a very small sample of that. And y'all may be a perfect representation of your fellow citizens, and you may be exactly the opposite. And we're stuck trying to understand what is the will of the voters on something that affects our town. So there's no easy answers for us. There's no easy way to tell that. One of the ways you can do that is try to consider putting things like that on the ballot. I was going to consider asking council to consider a wide variety of things which we have not acted on before, because we can't say with certainty we feel like we know what the will of the people is. And that's anything from the kinds of ideas that have been bounced around this chamber for years about zoning and other options which greatly affect the citizens of this town. And it's very hard for people up here to try to make informed decisions on your behalf. So we'll see how that goes. I hope we'll have an opportunity to get some very clear feedback from the voters, and then make some good and then occasionally some unpopular and some other choices. We look forward to working with you. Please stay informed and involved.
Thank you. Councilperson Goodwin.
I will be quick. I just wanted to. I just wanted to remind people, citizens of Kemah, which you're right, that obviously red states have a disproportionate number of the hurricanes, but no less caring about the Northeast, who's had a lot of suffering. We understand firsthand kind of what those people are going through when they've lost their houses and had their belongings washed away. So just ask you to keep them in your prayers, and anything that you can do, personally to help definitely encourage that, because we have pulled together as a community, and they're going to have to do the same thing.
Thank you. The one thing I'd really like to see if everybody here could tell to people that would tell to people. We've got a huge weekend coming up, starting tomorrow, for our armed forces and our wounded warriors. Probably more so with these last wars that we've had. I think that the more of us that can turn out our appreciation for our freedom, I think it would be speaking volumes for our city. I appreciate it if you all could get everybody to turn out. All right, let's go to some negative news. City Administrator.
I feel like I'm back at school. I will attempt to be brief in light of the fact that all we talked about last hour was transportation. As you know, the perpetuity of Galveston County road bond projects continues. Delta Sandry's first concrete placement is going to occur allegedly on November 5th, weather permitting. Lewis and Williams are, in terms of the pours, are complete. They're doing edge treatments on those streets. They were upgraded to concrete from asphalt. The contractor is also, as Murphy's Law, they completed bollards at all streets but 5th, and they we're looking for a status on where those additional bollards are, but they're supposed to be en route, and kudos to LJA. Actually, when the other bollards did come in, they noted that the map wasn't correct, so they asked the contractor to order them immediately, and that was some time ago. The boat ramp project, I have a copy of the permit in my office, and I'm going to sit down with Wallace on it, and that's an issue that we're going to have to revisit with KCDC on the exact scope. Texas Ave, no, we're asking for a lot. Another project to kick off on November 5th. Everyone keep in mind, as you're trying to access the businesses and lots along Texas Avenue, the plan is to actually demo both sides of the street on Texas Ave, and so you'll be able to get to Swamp Shack, Ichabod's, the lots, the boat ramp, all on the back side, really the 146 service road. West Kemah streets, right now, based on the timeline with the grant applications with General Land Office, it's actually looking like, rather than being a January kickoff, it may get pushed. It may actually get pushed as far as May. Does that sound?
We're at the mercy of people right now.
Yeah.
General Land Office.
So we get to experience what other people get to experience in dealing with government. Or in some case, I guess, dealing with us. And if anyone has any questions as we get, before I close this up, obviously we just had a meeting, a public meeting on the proposed park and ride facility, intermodal terminal. And that is a long drawn out process, and that project was submitted to compete for federal funds at HGAC, and it'll probably be a number of months to at least another 2 years, I would say, before we have any idea how that project is faring in that competitive process. The last thing is TxDOT has had surveyors on both our side of the bridge, our side of the Kemah Bridge, we won't call it the Seabrook Bridge, and on the Seabrook side. And I believe at some point they will be negotiating with, or attempting to negotiate with landowners, property owners. I believe that it's much more limited on our side as opposed to the Seabrook side of the bridge. But although that project has not been funded, TxDOT has, even at the district level, said that they hear loud and clear from the communities along the corridor and throughout Southeast Harris County and Galveston County that even though it's not funded, it is their charge to find the money to make this happen sooner than later. With that being one of the mobility, one of the many mobility fixes that we may need for the long haul. And that completes my report.
Thank you. Is Chief Riker?
Mayor, it's already been touched on, but we got the salute to military this weekend, Friday, tomorrow. We're going to the guys that when they come in from San Antonio and Clear Lake Park, us, Seabrook, Harris County Precinct Day, and UPS are going to escort the buses in, bring them through Kemah, and then escort them to their hotel in the city. So we're looking forward to that. Generators up and running now. Got everything. They did the final startup on Friday. It comes on every Monday, tests itself. So we're under power here for a few minutes into the generator, so everything seems to be working well on that. We do have a service agreement with the company. They come out every quarter, basically, service it, change the oil, and make sure everything's running right. Just so everybody knows, this weekend's a no refusal weekend. Anybody stopped or suspected of driving while intoxicated, they will do a search warrant on you and take your blood and prove whether or not you're under the influence. So just keep that in mind. They're doing it for the Lone Star Rally this weekend. And other than buying a couple of transmissions this month, I'm in good shape. We hadn't replaced a transmission or rear end in a car in 4 or 5 years, and I've done 2 in the last 2 weeks to the tune of about $5,200. So hopefully we're done with that. Probably coming back asking for more money for something.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Nan?
Okay. In your package, you have most of what's been going on, but one thing that I want to bring to save the date for November 29th, CDB is going to be at Cullen's. We're going to have it's a hotel law seminar to go over some of the things that, liabilities and things that they can and can't do for hotels for us. And also, at 5:30, they're going to do one on the hotel occupancy tax. And y'all are all welcome to come to this and join in learning and understanding of this. So,
If I can interrupt, I highly recommend that part of it doesn't start till 5:30 or 7:30. The time I went to this, it was some years back, it was very eye-opening on the way that you're supposed to use hotel motel tax, what it's allowed for, what it's not allowed for, how it should be administered. They had a lot of very good information, and it was utterly new to me at the time I heard it. So for our newest members, if you can find a way at 5:30, is that a Thursday?
yes.
To make time for that, it's worth the time investment.
Yeah, and it doesn't cost to attend. And at the bottom of the sheet that y'all have on Save the Date, it has her email address if y'all want to attend, just to let her know so she can get a head count of how many's coming. Okay? Thank you.
Marie?
Hello, Mayor and Council. Hopefully I have something refreshing for you. Just do a quick overview tonight, almost like an FYI. I just wanted to update you on the events that we have coming up in 2013, as well as finishing out this year. And as everyone has spoken about tonight, we have the salute to military service, which we're all excited about. And it's going to be a very, very big weekend for everybody. So lots of traffic with motorcycles and folks coming over to Kemah. So we expect it to be very, as I call it, goosebumpy. Now skipping into Christmas in Kemah, we have a lot of events and activities planned. I tried to outline them all on your first page here. All of this is set. There's a few more things that may come up as a result of some feelers that I've put out, but I'll quickly just go through it. Friday and Saturday, November 23rd and 24th, those are the 2 days after Thanksgiving. We're having a petting zoo. We think that will be great for some family-oriented activity. And then Santa, sleigh, and reindeer will also be there. On November 30th, our open house, of course, we'll have the Harbor Light Choir. Kelly Williams will sing. We have Miss Kemah and Kemah Teen. We have Santa and reindeer. We also have one of the high schools sending a choir, and also maybe a possible band coming to it. So that part is still a little bit fluid. Saturday, December 1st, of course, is our big parade. It's going to be very exciting this year. We have music, we have floats, so I want everybody to put that on the calendar to attend at 11 a.m. We'll also have strolling Santa throughout the Lighthouse District, the senior dancers, and of course, we have Santa. I haven't been here again because he's going to be for the parade, but he's also going to be throughout the district. On Sunday, December 2nd, we'll have Strolling Santa. Friday, December 7th is a toy drive and a pub crawl. December 8th is Pancakes with Santa. Then we have our children's costume parade right after that. Boat Lane Parade is dusk that evening, and the senior dancers will be again in the Lighthouse District. Saturday the 9th, we'll have our Strolling Santa and senior dancers. And then the 15th, we have our pet parade. And that should be interesting this year. We're trying to involve the SPCA so that they can bring pets for adoption at that time as well. Santa and reindeer will be in the district. Strolling Santa, senior dancers. Again, the 16th, we have our Santa and our dancers, and then we have an arts and crafts show to fill up the month. That will be in the city lot, and she is expecting between 30 and 40 vendors. And the nice thing about that arts and crafts show is they do not carry anything that is sold at any of our merchant shops. This is strictly all things handmade by artists. So that kind of rounds out December. One other thing, we do have 10 billboards planned, and I was hoping to have the artwork back tonight to show you, but it looks like I'll probably get it tomorrow, and I'll shoot that over to you guys as soon as we get it. We have located areas northwest and west Houston, a little bit farther out. Sun Inside the Loop, we're waiting to see what's available. It is a great program. We can go in under the fact that we are a nonprofit, and this is a public service announcement billboard, so we'll be able to put our activities on there, as well as the address to our new beautiful website that's about to go live. So we're excited about that. Also in your package, this is what our flyers are going to look like, as well as our core class poster. This is our rack card for December. And then finally, I'll just briefly go through 2013. This is what we know is on the calendar as of right now. Our city events, of course, are the Kids Easter Egg Hunt, March 30th, the Crawfish Festival. Tentative date is April 13th. Gumbo Cook-Off and Blessing of the Fleet is May 4th and 5th. 4th of July Parade, of course, July 4th. Oktoberfest, October 5th. And Christmas in Kemah, of course, that's the entire month. And the city-sponsored events are the Mardi Gras Crew de Lac, February 1st and 2nd. Yachty Gras, February 9th. Pan Jam, April 6th and 7th. The Kemah Tri, or Triathlon, April 27th. Texas Outlaw Challenge, June 21st through the 23rd. And the Greek Festival, September 20th to the 22nd. So if you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer any. Otherwise, that's my update. And I hope you all are going to enjoy all our events for next year.
We're trying to spread our events around, especially like in the month of December, where our traffic counts off for our merchants. We don't have a lot of business coming and going, so we're going to try to bring events in that would be counter to our traditional traffic patterns. Consent agenda. Any items council wish to remove from the consent agenda?
Make a motion to approve.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. Hotel motel request, Greek Festival. Do I have a motion to discuss?
So moved.
Second. Discuss.
Yes, we do have. Okay. Marie, did you want to give one quick intro for Greek Fest before they...
Actually, we have a representative from the Greek Festival. If he may approach the council or mayor.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. My name is Demetrius Martakis. I'm here with my wife Sylvia. We're representing the Greek Festival, which is aspiring to become the Kemah Greek Festival. I know you, first of all, thank you for considering our event. I know you have a full agenda. I'd like to hit on some key points. Our first year, we would like to request some assistance because it's going to be a little bit of a struggle for us. The main thing we're asking for is a contribution of $7,500, assistance with waste management, the use of the community center, and the use of the sign and display our banner. Now, the plan would be within a few years, a couple of years, to wean ourselves off once we understand the profit potential of moving locations. And we feel that it'll be much better than where we're at. Is there any questions that I can answer?
So you're requesting here $7,500 in the first year and then ratcheting that back
took some years.
Yes, sir. And depending on what we made a whole bunch of money then, of course.
It would be immediate.
Yeah, it would be immediate, and then there could be something that we would pay.
They could share with us at some point if we can, the business pro forma works out that location for them.
We're estimating maybe 5,000 to 7,500 people the first year. Our current location, we peaked at 45,000.
And that's 4 days at the community center if you want.
Yes, that'd be Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
What's normal waste management? How's that normally handled?
Our agreement, we have, typically they will give us several events per year that they will at least provide the trash pickup, the dumpsters. They haven't always provided the porta potties. I believe with the crawfish that they did pay them directly on the setup line. Is that correct, Marie?
I'm sorry.
Gotcha. On waste management with the porta potties for crawfish, do you recollect if that was paid directly by them or if we had?
That was paid directly by them.
Okay, believe it. So it's primarily been in the form of picking up dumpsters. And obviously some events lend themselves, let's say crawfish, very native of that one, creates a lot of residual trash. There will be food consumed, and maybe you'll actually do better than you can even imagine. We would have to request more pickup of dumpsters out there, but at least in terms of the pickup, we can usually assist with large events.
And then, I think the last time we approved something, we'd asked if we could have a recap of where we're at in our budget. Am I missing that, or?
Oh, maybe in a running total?
Yeah, because, we have X number of dollars and we're 1 month into it, we're spent.
35?
35.
I believe we're around 35 out of that 50 that was originally put in that line item.
Have you all been here and talked with us before?
Yes.
You were associated with the church?
Yes, St. John, Theologian 345 Church.
Important.
This is effectively their annual bazaar.
Okay.
I think you heard from us before, you picked that unfortunately difficult year to ask for new startup funding, because what we're forced to do is, inside this budget year, we're going to be actually defunding city-sponsored events we've actually funded in the past. So basically, they're asking us to tell folks we have a working relationship with, we're going to have to go and say, sorry, we can't fund you this year. So it's a non-trivial expense, and on top of the bodies of folks we're going to have to turn down and send away. So it's whatever they decide, it has no reflection on your request. I think this is a wonderful thing, and I wish it was inverted. I wish you could come for us free, and then and when in our out years when we're in better shape, you're in the situation you're in, we're in the situation we're in.
Can I ask one question, and definitely don't limit me? Cat's out of the bag. And Marie, please pay attention to this.
I'm listening, I'm listening.
Let's say if theoretically an opportunity were to present itself with, let's say, an outside corporate sponsorship for maybe multiple events, city events, I guess, would y'all be open to discussions for that umbrella that might actually help us multiply advertising, such as the billboards that just occurred, and in that case, that's a PSA, and possibly even more if that other sponsorship were brought to the table, maybe for 4 to 5 events that would fall under, in every one of the events, if we are to look at this would be something we bring back to y'all. would all have a little bit different arrangement, because in this case, you have a nonprofit, you have others that are for-profit, you have new events like Oktoberfest, but we may have found a possibility, so in addition to doing PSAs, we may have found a corporate multiplier. I'll just leave it at that. I don't want to say anything else.
And they have been doing great work in trying to make that happen, so that is a possibility that comes up. I don't know what we can do.
I mean, in possibly a greatly reduced amount, or even falling under the other line item of city events with that other item tag to it.
And it's going to be a little while before we know about what we're not talking about. But,
this is not, I'm sorry, this is not until September of next year, right?
Right. We're already starting our planning phases, so one question I have is about what time frame do we know?
What do we know? Yeah, that's the question.
Well, let's just say after possibly this weekend that's occurring, one of the parties may be ready to have us sit down with a couple of the different.
maybe not immediately.
Yes, maybe not immediately, but
It could
for
be
the next
2
couple of
weeks.
weeks, maybe
Yeah,
a couple
a
of
couple of weeks. Would council be open to working with them with these requirements minus the monetary requirements, just so they
So they can begin
so they
and
can
try
get
and fill that in.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
The rest of that is.
Would, you know.
And intend to negotiate?
Well, you know, I've probably said this a couple hundred times, but I just don't find compromise to be a nasty term. So if we could help them get a date and a deal put together, we can work on the monetary side that might come from a completely different avenue. But at least you could get started on your event.
That would be great, but we also have to take it to our parish.
Sure. Would anybody like to draw a motion that
I
says
make a
something like
motion
that?
to do that. We really can't afford the monetary right now. And compounded with the expenses we would have for these others. But I think we can do that. Working real hard with the unknown.
That's correct.
Does that include the community center?
Well,
Depending on the
that's,
calendar.
it's going to, we'll have to look at the calendar.
Yeah, we will have to look at the
We're not
calendar.
use reserve, and they have that already tied up.
So the form of that motion was everything listed here except the monetary part, no money.
Yeah, no money, and we'll have to.
We'll subject to
We'll negotiate to the calendar,
Yeah.
so we can get you your date, so you all can get started.
Yeah.
Second.
Does that sound fair?
And you said about a month, you know?
Well, calendar,
We may
can
be
find
approaching
out.
you as soon as this other party is available to sit down in an undisclosed location.
The calendar we can do ASAP, I mean, we just have to go to the reservation book and see what's there. So we can get you started, and then the monetary sponsorship could be 2 to 3 weeks, depending on how that goes.
You know that monetary sponsorship, some organizations don't want to donate to a religious organization.
I don't think that'd be a do you drink?
I'm sure that they've given to the Knights of Columbus and some others over
Yeah,
there.
yeah.
So you're probably.
I think you'll be
Probably
okay.
good.
So I have a motion, do I have a second? All in favor say aye. All opposed say nay. Passed unanimous. Next week, I mean, you could come tomorrow morning, but first of next week, get with somebody and let's get your calendar, so we know what to reserve for that deal for the center, so you can have you'll have an official calendar date.
Thank you very much.
All right?
Thank you for your time.
Absolutely.
Welcome to Kemah.
Hotel motel request, approve the lock. Do I have a motion to discuss?
So moved.
Discuss.
Am I on? You're on.
You're on.
First of all, thank you for the podium. I've never had one of these before. I appreciate that. Good evening, Mayor, Council, and City staff. My name is Annabelle Rush. I have a little packet for you, and I'm not going to spend all the time going through every piece of it. But I see some new faces here. I haven't met before, so I just want to basically tell you our mission statement.
Since 2000, the purpose of Crew de Lac is to promote the cultural, educational, and traditional customs of Mardi Gras and other aspects of the French culture. We promote a family-style observance of the season. The crew provides year-round information, guidance, and activities to individuals and groups interested in similar pursuits. In 2004, Crew de Lac was named the official crew of Kemah. I say that with pride. If you'll open your little booklet here and look over to the right, the first thing you'll see is my business card, and you'll notice everything that I'm showing you tonight is Kemah branded. We are all about Kemah. We understand the importance of bringing people here and the importance of having an ownership. We weren't kidding around when we were named by council the official crew of Kemah. We take that very seriously. On the right, you'll see our poster from last year, and this is pretty much the same events that we're doing as last year. We do a royal cruise. One thing is changing. We're looking to grow legs for our event. This year, instead of having our own king and queen, we are encouraging others, and already have 4 commitments for new crews that will operate at our parade. So there'll be other crews that are coming here, similar to what they do in Galveston. This last year was our 10th anniversary, and this year is our 11th. We are honoring our past royalty and bringing the royalty of the other new crews to our parade and to all of our activities. We do the Kemah Ghost Tour. We have a kickoff party at Bacchus. We support the Gallery Gala Fun Run through advertising and volunteerism. We have the Kemah Mardi Gras Parade, followed by a big party at T-Bone Tom's with live music, awards from the parade, arts and crafts. A portion of those proceeds goes to the Bay Area pet adoptions. We have a masquerade ball that was new last year at Zone 504. Crazy Allen's the next day has a Swamp Shack party, which will be Super Bowl, as many of you know. And then we also promote Mardi Gras. If you look to the right side of your pamphlet, the first thing you'll see after that poster, these are in production right now. They're postcards, and we've ordered 1,000 of these. They're going out to all the local businesses, and they're for real postcard. They're like a push card with the glossy that you see around, but on the back side, you can actually send a little note to somebody. So they will be distributed here in Kemah, and then also we have a street team that goes into Houston to visit with other groups and organizations. So this is, we've been doing this for quite a few years. Every year we set a new record. Yay. We're really happy with that. I touched on the next piece, which is our ad that went into print last year about the King's Cake Party. Like I said, our coronation will be honoring the cakes that we developed here in Kemah. On the left-hand side of your packet, you'll see a prototype of the medallion for this year. We are going back to our French culture, and this year we are having a salute to France. So if you want French fries, French bread, French braids, French anything, complete with a, oh golly, what's his name? Our pirate. I'm a little nervous making new faces, y'all. Lafitte, Jean Lafitte, complete with a Jean Lafitte look-alike contest. Also on the left-hand side of your package, you'll see some testimonials, and I won't read them all to you, but the first one is Crew de Lac has been the premier Mardi Gras crew in the Clear Lake, Galveston area for more than a decade. Don't mistake the crew for being only about celebrations and status. Crew de Lac has successfully incorporated popular family events in the annual Mardi Gras calendar. I won't go on with the rest of this. With that said, we are the only outside of the city of Galveston crew that is advertised with Galveston on their website. So what we do on our website, very simple. It's only about the crew. We don't sell anything on here. We're not trying to get people to sign up for anything. We have our homepage, scheduled event, another page about us, our press releases. So once we send all the press out, the media can go back and grab that information. Copies of our crew posters. One thing I'm particularly proud of is lesson plans, where the CCISD teachers and beyond can come to our website and find a complete lesson plan to teach their kids about Mardi Gras, hence bringing them over here for our Mardi Gras celebrations. The vendor photo gallery, everybody have one of those. Beads, costumes, and decor is another page where you can figure out, how do I do Mardi Gras? This is brand new to me. I'm, Mardi Gras 101. We'll teach them that. The vendor application, and probably most importantly to you, is the local info, on which page there is a link to every property in Kemah. And also, we talk about, we have a link to the Kemah Boardwalk in Space Center Houston. So when families come here, they make it a weekend destination. The next thing in here is just a copy of an example of our press release. We're about to hit the ground running tomorrow, as we say that I'm supposed to. And then again, there's a fact sheet that's stapled onto the back of that. I have a bunch of other goodies, but I'm going to wait and see if you ask me any questions, and then I can tell you some really good answers.
Well, I don't sing praises all that often, but Cruder Lock's been a pretty amazing group for Kemah. Not only your true hometown, we are proud of the work you do. These guys go out and when we're trying to raise gifts for the kids that are involved with the city, these guys are always the first to help make all those things happen. They're a true service organization. We're proud of them. We should be pleased they're a part of our community because they do some amazing things. So thank you for what you do.
Thank you.
I don't sing praises too often, but y'all.
I know you don't.
Certainly.
That's what you do.
Mark it down.
My parent role in here to be the Grinch.
I know.
So when praise comes out, people feel confused.
So now we can go to the facts.
Oh, bubble bursting time.
Actually, this is already in our request. This is already, this is